Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. Plump up your cushions, make yourself comfy on your chair, get yourself a nice brew, and we're going to have a bit of a crafty play today. And what I thought I'd look at today is the Bokeh effect, or Bokeh. Obviously, you know me, I'm not good on pronunciations, so you may want to look it up. It's a effect that's used in photography, and it's a way of blurring certain images and almost giving circular appearances. And you can see in the craft industry we use it a lot, and this is the design here, and it's these it's intentionally blurring, and we've got these lovely circles here. And the reason I thought I'd share this with you is at Lavinia we've got a brilliant ink pad, and it's this. And it's the Archival Moonlight White, and this is perfect for this technique. Now, I've got an old one and a new one, which I'll explain more about later. But I just thought with having these ink pads, it's lovely to create this effect with them. So this is the design I'm going for, or something similar. You know what I'm like, depends how I feel. So we're going to start off with, and I've got a piece of card here, and it's multifarious card, and it's 5.5 inches square. Just because this is a nice design, I thought for a 6-inch square. I like 6-inch square cards. And all I'm doing is taking, this is the Lavinia low tack tape, and I'm just want to give myself a frame. So I'm not measuring, I'm just taking it up to the edge of the cardstock. And for me, I find this it just works well for me. If you want a different size frame, obviously you pop on the piece of card or the size frame that you want to use. Like I say, we all do things that just suit us, don't we? And I always say, I'm just showing you the way I do things. If you like it, you happily follow it. If you've got an idea that works better, by all means, do it your way. Because at the end of the day, it's like cooking, isn't it? I keep saying this, we all have different ways, different hints and tips. I mean, the thing is with crafting, as long as we spend time together, that's the main thing. So I'm going to start by creating my background. And again, this is a great way of you practicing a bit of blending. Again, it's something I get asked about a lot. Now, I'm going to use my Elements ink pads, and for this design, I've chosen 2 blues. So that's the blue Atoll and the Della blue. And then I'm going to come in with a bit of purple, and that's the violet chalk. And what we're going to do is blend these, and I'm going to use my stencil brushes. And I want to show you that when we first do our blending, it doesn't have to be perfect, because I know a lot of you worry about your blending, how perfect it is. So what I'm going to do is just pop my card there if I can. Take the lids, because you know I need the lids, and I need them next to each colour, look. And I've got my 3 brushes here. Now, I've actually got 2, I've got my purple brush. Now, my blue brushes, I've got 2, and because I've been using the blue Atoll, normally I would just have 1 brush for my blue. But in all honesty, since I've been using the blue Atoll so much, and I can't believe this because I'm not a blue girl really. As you know, I love my oranges, my browns, my yellows. So I've got 1 for my blue Atoll, a dedicated brush now, so that shows how much I've been using it. So we're going to start with the Della blue. And I always dab it off in the lid. And to start off with, I'm going to have the Della blue in this corner, bottom corner. So I'm just going to flick, just to start building the colour up. And again, as I say, we're only making a background, but it's good to get in good habits. I always think this is a good way of practising using your brushes, practising using your ink. Because at the end of the day, it's just a background. Now, I always start in this corner because I want this corner deeper. And again, then I just flick away. And then I sort of blend. As I've got less ink on my brush, I can blend. So I'm going to leave that for the minute. And then I'm going to come in with my blue Atoll, and I'm going to bring that from this corner. Same sort of thing, and just build it up. And it's nice to build it up gradually. We do want more colour up here. But I do find if you're used to gradually building it up, if I wanted a fine light colour, and I bet you can hardly see that, then at least I've achieved that. But what's nice with this is we are going to come in heavier, so I can just keep building that up. And as I say, it's really good to practice building the colour up. Right, so I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to come in with my purple. Again, dab it off on the lid, and I'm almost going to bring the purple in on that corner and then blend down in this corner and blend up. And you'll find that's more forgiving. If I go straight on, I'm more likely to get lines. But by just taking some off on the corner and then almost blending across, I've less chance of getting those lines that we sometimes get. I mean, two ways of minimising it is one, dabbing off on your lid, and two, just starting in the corner. I just want it a little bit deeper. I do want it a little bit deeper in the middle, so I am going to come in with it just a bit deeper here. And again, just build up. Right, I'm going to stop with the purple, and I'm going to come back in with my blue Atoll and just bring that down over the purple now, just to blend that area there. And again, I'm being a bit more, I'm not tickling now, I'm a bit more heavy-handed. And the same thing here, I'm going to come up and go into that purple, just to create that nice background. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to, we don't want to overdo it. But you'll find with the brushes, it's a lovely way of just slowly building up that background. So I'm going to put those over there. As always, you know I'm limited on my space. But I'm going to come in now with my graphite. And I've got one of the lovely little number 3 brushes. And just in this bottom corner and along the bottom here, I'm just going to add some graphite just to ground the design. And even though, if you notice, I'm always dabbing off on the lid, always, just up the side a little bit here and here. And this, although it won't be obvious it's there, it's funny, if it wasn't there you would notice it. It's worth doing this. It's just one of those little tricks. There we go. And if I can just maybe bring that up to show you, look, that will make all the difference. So what we'll do now, we'll do some stamping. And I've got a couple of colours of ink pad, and I'm going to use the Nocturne, but also I'm going to bring in again a couple of colours. Look, I tend to look for ones that will relate to my design. So we've got Warm Breeze and Fantasia. And the first, we're going to add Bella, and we're going to use Nocturne for Bella. Now, there's lots of different stamps. If you don't have Bella, I'm sure you've got a stamp that would work really well. Lots of our beautiful Lavinia stamps will work well with this. Now, I'm just going to angle, and I think we'll go there. And I'm keeping that masking tape on. Now, we've got a silhouette stamp here. So again, don't be in a rush because you've added all that ink underneath, and you want the Nocturne to sink onto the card through the Elements ink that we've already added. And obviously silhouette, there's a lot of ink there. So if we lift that up, yeah, I'm happy with that. That's lovely. So what I'm going to add now is the lavender stamp. And again, remember when you've got your acetate, look, give you an idea. I mean, this card, you could do totally your stamping in black if you wanted. That would really show up. But I just fancy adding a little bit more colour. So I'm going to use my Fantasia for this lovely lavender stamp. And we'll just add some grouping of first and second generation. So remember, second generation is when you don't add any more ink and you just get a lighter. So again, it helps with depth. And I think when you're doing florals, it just helps. And again, let's have one up there. And I don't want to overcook this. We want it to look quite natural. So I'm just altering the direction look and the height. And I'm just going to give that stamp a wipe. Again, I always like to wipe just with a wet piece of cotton pad, and then I'm just cleaning with my Inky Binky, just drying. And then we're going to come in with the field grass. Now the field grass or the orchard grass, which is the smaller one, either of those will work really well for this. And I'm going to add a few stamps with the Warm Breeze first. And what you'll see is this will bring the colour from there, that blue Atoll. I'm hoping that when I stamp this, look, how it brings that colour in. So again, we'll have some second, and some third generation, look. And I do think that works really well, and it's bringing that colour into this area. So we'll use this again. And I think we'll have a large one there. And then just a couple here. Now I don't want to overdo this, but to bring, because we've got some black stamping here, I want to bring a little bit of black stamping in. And what I like is to use the same stamp. So again, I'm just giving my field grass a bit of a clean. Then I want to come in with the black. And I don't want to overdo this, but I just want, and I'm hoping when I've done this, you'll see how it looks a lovely, to use Tim's words, cohesive design. Because we've got that black stamping. And I think just one here with a little bit of second generation there. So if I bring that, obviously ignore all this. Can you see that with having a little bit of stamping in black and colour, and can you see where we added the grey down here? So because of the difference in height here, if your stamp doesn't stamp right to the bottom, doesn't matter, because we've got that lovely grey sort of wispy depth to the design. I like a good cheat, don't you? So again, I'm just going to give my stamp a wipe with my wet cloth and then dry it with my Inky Binky. Two things, I like to keep my stamps clean, but also when I take the stamp off my pad, I've less chance of getting my fingers dirty, because obviously underneath here, I want to keep that border white, well, as clean as possible. So I'm going to give that a blot. Your VersaFine Clair, it's a slower drying ink, but also you'll find the ink will dry slower on the masking tape, so be aware of that. And again, it can transfer onto your hands. Now I'm going to bring in my circle mask from the acetate circle masks, and I'm going to come back with my graphite and my little stencil brush. And again, I like to do this upside down just because that's the way I work, and that's just the right size for there. Look, we can get the whole of our lovely Bella in. And the reason I'm doing this upside down is because I want to start at the bottom. And again, I'm just gently tickling. Again, your graphite, I don't want it too dark, but I want just the idea of that, almost the spotlight there. So although you could say a moon, really I'm going off a spotlight. I want to highlight Bella. And just by adding a little bit of grey around, I'm hoping it'll be enough just to spotlight her without looking too obvious. Let's see, so if I take that off and turn it round for you, can you see what I mean? We've got that lovely design, but it's not, I don't want it to be too obvious, because I want the circles from the bokeh effect to actually be my obvious detail. So I'm going to give that a wipe and pop it back. And then we're on to our lovely bokeh effect, or bokeh effect. And I'm going to use the White Orbs for this. Now, I've masked off a few of the sizes that I want to use. I'm going to use a small brush, and again, I'm so sad, look, I've actually written white, so I know this is for my white. You don't need to mask off these, they are small enough with this brush, but for me, I just find it easier, and like I say, you know, we go with what we find easy. Now, the reason I've got 2 Brilliance ink pads is I write on the back when I buy my ink pads, so I know if I've got a newer one and an older one. And I do this with my Della blue. As I told you a while ago, I've got an older Della blue, which I keep because it's perfect for the moon masks, and it gives me a paler result when I'm using it. So the same way here, my older ink pad will give me a paler circle, whereas my newer one gives me a brighter circle. And when we're using the Bokeh, if I bring in the finished one, I don't know if you can see here, I've got a paler, larger circle and some smaller, more intense. The same here, look. And I just want to try and create the different depth. It's not always easy to show you this on camera, but when you're doing this at home, you'll see exactly what I mean. So I'm going to start off with my older ink pad, and I'm going to create a couple of circles. I just need to check you can still see. And we're going to put one over here, and I'm just going to dab through. And again, it's another reason for checking that your ink underneath is dry. And this will give me a lovely pale circle. Make sure I go in my older ink pad, look. And I'm really dabbing. And I'll do one more, then I'll lift it up and show you. So we'll have one over here. Now again, if I lift that up, can you see they're quite pale? Again, I'm trying to tilt it so you can see. And then what I'll do is, let me have a look, what size shall I go for next? That one there. So, and it's quite nice to have a few that overlap. So if I come in with my newer ink pad, show you. Now, can you see? You can see that's much more obvious, can't you? I don't even need to lift that up. So it is nice to have a couple of areas where they overlap. Just check you haven't got any underneath, because you can get a bit going through from underneath. So we'll add another one of those there. So again, I'm just wiping underneath. And here we've got 2 together, and I like that look. So I'm going to pop those. And again, you will spend your time. Obviously, I don't want to take all your time up, so I'm going to quite quickly add a few more, but you will spend a lot longer than me deciding exactly where you want your lovely circles. I'm just going to move it round. We'll add another one here. And again, if you've got less ink, if you don't have an older ink pad like I have, if you just keep using less ink, obviously as you're using less ink, it will become paler. So that's another way of getting paler. I like those. We need one coming off the page at the top, and I've got that lovely big one there. So what we'll do, we'll go in with our new ink pad, and we'll just catch that, because it's nice to have a circle just coming off the page. How are we doing? Just at the base, look, we need a couple, maybe one there. I like a few on top of the flowers. Need some small ones. Now there's a nice small one, look. I've not even masked that one off, but it just shows you don't have to mask them all off. Just another little one there. Right, I'm happy with that. So, but this ink is just beautiful. But do make sure you put the lids on. And again, it's like for me, the reason I write the date on the base and not the lid, because obviously just in case I put the wrong lid on the wrong ink pad, and just make sure you don't want these to dry up, so make sure the lids are on perfectly. Now, a couple of things. I just want to add some pastel pencil. So I'll just get my lovely pastel pencils out here, and we're going to use the white. And we're just going to add a little bit of highlight here. And I just want to catch, and again, with it being pastel, I'm just smudging because that will help fix the pastel. And you will take longer than me and be a bit more careful. Sorry, just on the chin there. So I'm just going to smudge that a little bit more on here. Yeah, lovely. Right, I can put that. Do I need any? No, I think we'll put our pencil away. But what I do want to do is add a couple little drops of water just to faux bleach the areas in between where I've got the ink. And that'll just add a little bit more into the background. And the reason I'm doing this now is, and I'm just using my #1 brush just because I can get the splats exactly where I want them. And I just want a little bit more faux bleaching behind. Can you see? And I'm just going to dab that. And that will just add to the whole design. And I'm nearly ready to peel off our lovely masking tape. But a couple of things, I've got a couple of blue pens here. One's the Signo fine liner pen, and that's just to add a little bit of blue. Just a few. And I'm sorry if my head comes over, I'm trying to... So that's the Signo, the lovely Signo pens we've got. And then the last little bit, I've got the glittery Posca pen. And again, I'm going for blue tones, so I'm going to give that a shake. And then I'm just going to add some splats down here, just where the flowers are. And just trying to avoid my lovely Bokeh circles. If I get one over, it doesn't matter. But I'm just avoiding where I can. Now, I want to take my tape off. Now, I want to also make sure that all this is dry. So what I'm going to do is use my heat tool, and this does two things. A couple of ladies have got in touch recently and said that when they take the tape off, it tears the card. So if you use your heat tool, as I say, it will help dry the ink and the water on your card, but also it helps to melt the glue on your masking tape, your low-tack tape. Now I know that my Lavinia tape shouldn't stick, not to my multifarious card, but just in case, look, with me doing this, it will peel off, it melts the glue so that it literally, you can see the corners starting, look at that, to curl. So that it will literally peel off, and again, try and fold it inside so that you don't get any of the ink on your hands. And the cleaner you keep your hands, the cleaner you're going to keep this area around here. And then there we have that lovely, lovely design. And I have to say, I'm really pleased with that. But do look up the Bokeh effect, it is fabulous. There's the one we've done today, and there's the one, the original one. And as I say, we've got so many brilliant stamps that will work well for this. And the ink pad is just, well, I was going to say brilliant, but it is called Brilliance. So there we go. So thank you very much for joining me. If you've got any questions, do just pop them below. And as soon as I can, I'll get back and answer them for you. So thank you for joining me as always. I'll see you again next week, or maybe in a few days. Who knows? Depends on the weather. I might be out in my garden. I might be lucky enough to be able to get in my garden. You take care. Thank you very much for joining me as always. Thanks for popping in. See you again soon. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.